Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. I'm with Emily Dean and Alun Cochrane, my regular colleagues on this programme. That's anyone who's never heard it before. Just that now they feel like, you know, I've brought them in. Sit down, take your shoes off.
Obviously, we've got a slight moment of paranoia of thinking colleagues. Is that what we're going with? Colleagues?
I think colleagues is all right.
Colleagues is
some DJ people would say my sidekicks. Think yourself lucky.
Co-presenters.
Take that word colleague and cherish it. That's my advice.
Thank you.
Anyway, just before we go any further, if you want to text us about anything at all, you can text us on 81215 because that's our text number. And let's get it out of the way. I swam. I swam a length this week for the first time in my life of the swimming pool. Not to the outsider particularly impressive achievement, but to...
No, I won't have that.
But to the frightened middle-aged man, a mountain has been climbed. Even Sandy Waugh is applauding in the other room. It's a soundproof booth, but I know the visual for applause.
I won't have you minimising your achievement because we're all very proud of you this morning, aren't we?
I'll tell you what...
No one answered. No one answered in this room.
I'll tell you what slightly impaired it for me is when I did it, I got very excited. When my hand actually touched the wall at the end of the swimming pool, I was very excited. And I turned to the crowd, who'd been incredibly supportive.
And I was in the crowd, just FYI.
And I'm afraid I clenched my fist and said, "Come on!"
Yeah,
it was Pierce,
which is I was thinking Andy Murray. Worse still, I was thinking something I've seen Andy Murray's mom do quite a lot. And I thought, is that what happens? You learn to swim, you become Andy Murray's mom.
Yeah, that would be.
I don't want people saying, and every time I'm on telly saying. Is he divorced? I don't want that. Where's the dad? I don't want that going on.
And then you splash the water with your fist, which I liked.
I went crazy. I mean, some of the things looking back on now, I mean, that morning, I took such a time over my shave because I thought it would make me a little bit more aquadynamic in the water. And I had a lot of pasta the night before. I thought, build up the carbs. Like I was going to do a marathon.
Excellent.
25 metres we're talking.
No, can I say there was an element of jeopardy being poolside. I didn't go for flip-flops. I went for chunky heels.
Did you?
I'm not changing my show for anyone.
I thought that was sensible. There isn't a Veruca in Britain that would have gone through those heels.
How have the Verucas dealt with your swimming?
I haven't mentioned the Verucas.
Have they gone?
No, I've just...
You never told them about
I didn't tell them. I thought they'll find out soon enough.
Even though when you first started doing it, we talked about them every week on the radio.
I think all the sport relief money I've raised will be spent on the Veruca pandemic I've left behind me.
Cleaning the pool.
No, but Frank, I would say it was 25 metres, about 20 metres in, there was a will he, won't he moment. I have to say... I thought, the lad's tiring, and it was a moment of genuine jeopardy.
No, I took in a bit of water. I could feel it. I thought I'll blow it out next blow, and it didn't really come out. It was at the back of my throat. And if I was just in the normal training sessions, I say training, in my lessons, that would have been my panic and stop point.
Yeah, well, I saw I saw on YouTube. I was travelling at the time, and I saw it, and that. The guy from Liverpool, the teacher, he took quite a stern tone with you on the like bit of footage, and he was going, "Just don't worry about it."
I know.
I loved that.
But that's the whole point. He is worried about it.
That's what we all need. At the end of the day, any problem you've got in life ultimately needs someone to say, "Just pull yourself together."
Is it that simple?
I've spent years exploring all manner of therapy, and that's the conclusion I've arrived at.
Oh.
Yeah. In fact, at the end of it, all the presenters of last night lined up and said, "We have a message for the third world." And that was what they said. Together, in harmony, just pull yourself together. I thought it was a bit hard, really, because there are all sorts of political things that they can't do anything about.
Frank, I'm not done yet. I'd also like to discuss Karen Pickering's legs, which were extraordinary.
Well, okay, that's fair enough.
There's a cliffhanger.
See, women can say things like that.
Yeah.
Extraordinary specimen.
And I'd like to tell you what happened when I tried to kiss my girlfriend at the end of my swim. So, yes. But we won't talk about swimming all day, don't worry. Stay with us.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Yes, at the end of the swim, when I was still elated, I went over I did that thing that's slightly embarrassing. Again, I went a bit tennis player. And who was the guy who climbed up to the friends and relatives?
Pat Cash.
No, he never won, did he?
Yes, he did. Can you text in listeners to support me?
No, Sandy War is nodding.
What? Thank you, Sandy.
Sandy War is like a computer. She knows the answer to everything.
He did win.
I thought it was the Croatian.
You two better watch your step.
Cash.
Okay, well, anyway, that thing, or when Alex Hurricane Higgins called his wife and child down and cried with the child. I did that. I went over to kiss my girlfriend, and she was not at all very stand-up. And I said, that was nice of you, after in the car, I said, it was nice of you not to kiss me in front of everyone. She said, I just had this idea that you'd just been swimming and be like child urine on your lips. It was a good point, I thought. I thought, well, that's fair enough. You can't really argue with that.
Meanwhile, back over with Karen Pickering's legs.
Ah, yes.
I'm sorry, Frank. Extraordinary. I'd actually be happy to have no torso. If I could have those legs, I'd be like a centaur in reverse. I'd happily do that.
A centaur in reverse?
Yeah.
I wonder what the sound is for that. You know, with the lorry, it's the... centaur in reverse. Yeah.
She's quite a sight.
I should say, in case you're not into swimming and international athletics, Karen Pickering was a very fine international swimmer for Great Britain for 20 years. Mm-hmm. Gosh, she's got some medals and things. And she was my mentor for this. But she's a tall girl. But she had shorts on yesterday. Mm. And, of course, I thought everyone would be saying, oh, God, that's Karen Pickering, the swimmer. But Kath and Emily were saying, God, her legs. Which is, 30 years ago, it would have been the men saying that.
Yeah.
The world's upside down. Apparently.
Pat Cash won in 1987 and climbed up to his dad, Jez Banbury. Thanks, Jez.
Thanks, Jez.
Well, can I just say,
good to know
on the plus side, we've confirmed I'm right. On the minus, we now all know I was around and active in 1987, which is rather depressing.
Well, you might have seen it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Someone else has texted saying, 778 has texted Goran Ivanisevic, so I think there's a bit of debate about it.
No, he did it as well.
Yeah. Oh, he did what? He wants to leave Pat Cash's dad alone. If I was Pat Cash's dad, I'd stop going. I mean, that's sexual harassment at work, isn't it? Yeah. Can I get to the ladies' final this year, Pat? No! You have to get to the men's again. Oh, who is it this year?
We've had a text in that I thought was a mistake, that it was just one of those texts that people do for radio shows about roads being closed and that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
But it might actually be to do with your swim. Somebody has texted saying, Putney High Street blocked due to burst water main.
Oh, that would be handy for me. That'd be a shortcut.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be swimming everywhere by the end of the year, won't you?
It's all right, driver. I'm on my own from here. Where's me goggles?
You live close by the river, don't you?
I do live, but you see, I saw David Williams last night at Sport Relief. We actually stood talking swimming in the corridor. Obviously, I was slightly, as it were, out of my depth. Yeah, but I think he's still got the after effects of swimming in the Thames.
Oh, has he? Why?
He got a
How could you
tummy
tell?
bug, didn't
Well,
he had a nappy on.
He had an enormous, and may I say, vile-smelling nappy on. See, then again, Kath's so worried about catching someone. When that was announced, that swim, the first thing she said to me was, she didn't say it's swimming the Thames, what an enormous achievement that will be. She said, of course, it's full of dead tramps. How can she know that? Makes me wonder about her past. Was she the hobo killer of the 1980s? Oh, they haven't been called hobos for a long time, have they? Fabulous. And Adrian Charles came to watch, and Adrian Charles, I love, but he's one of the most competitive people I've ever met in my life. And I went back, still dripping, into my dressing room, proud, and he was talking to my swimming teacher, talking about swimming the channel.
Oh, really?
I thought, you just make me look bad, why don't you?
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Now, one thing that I don't do on this show, which many DJs do lots of, is read out complimentary texts. But, people say, by the way, I love the show. And everything.
Much to my chagrin.
Well, but people have sent a lot of very, very lovely texts about my Sport Relief swim, and I thank you very much. but I'm not going to read any out. But thank you, I appreciate
nice
it.
Of them. I got a text from you that made me weep slightly, because I texted you good luck and I'll be egging you on from afar. Or
egging me on, I sounded a bit like an attack on a politician.
No.
Excuse me, I was in Glasgow and then you texted me back saying, thanks, I did it. And I got a bit teary in the street in Glasgow.
Oh, the cockerel.
But it's a cockerel of all
I think
people.
it's how concise it is. I did it. It's like... You did it. Nobody else did it for you. You did it. It's like...
Well, I didn't mean it to be an ego trip.
No, I know that.
I was just trying to save my thumb muscles.
You did it. I just got really excited.
That's lovely.
I was horrendously hungover, and it's easier for me to cry in those circumstances.
Why do people have to take the edge off it? Why not just leave it? Why do I always have to get a coda?
I am sorry. But yeah... And someone's texted in, can Frank now jump into deep water? Look, Liam, he swam a length. Don't start giving him extra challenges.
I thought that was just an insult.
I can jump. Yeah, I can jump in, but not into actual the deep stuff at the moment. But jumping in is quite a big.
It's amazing.
It's really
quite
fun,
like jumping in. I've never jumped in before in my life.
Oh, how exciting! So, in Alan Cochrane news,
I can do a mushroom float.
What's a mushroom float?
Well. You might ask.
It sounds like brunch.
Exactly. It's in Coca-Cola. Oh, no. How bad would that be?
Yeah. In Alan Cochrane news, I think we probably need to talk about my head, don't we?
Well, I wasn't going to mention it. But
I have.
Alan has
already
arrived looking like one of the worst quarter of the England supporters club. This morning. He's got Fred Perry shirt and a haircut.
He looks a bit like someone of whom neighbours would say he always kept himself to himself.
It is, though. It's an extreme haircut.
Well, I've not done the show for a couple of weeks, but here's what happened last week. I've as you know, I've been trimming my hair with hair clippers at about an inch long all over since Christmas when I got some clippers. Last week I thought, I'll just give the hair a quick trim. Shaved from my forehead to my crown on the closest setting it could possibly go, because I hadn't checked the settings, and then I looked and it was like a lawnmower had gone right through to...
from front to back,
and I thought, I'm going to have to take the whole lot off.
Why did you do that?
You could have had a reverse mohawk. You could have grown it long with that in the middle.
I don't think that would fit with my show
Then if you met someone with a mohawk, you could lock, like, you know when you see stags fighting, you could lock
like
together.
Velcro.
Yeah, like Lego.
Well, it's funny you should say I'm like Lego, because I actually have, on the very top of my head, like a little, almost like a mole or pimple thing that sticks out.
God.
We can all have a little touch of it after the show.
No, I'm good, thanks.
I don't know if you can see it, but we'll... I'll stick my head in front of the webcam later.
Do you know what, Cockrell? I wish you'd let me know. Things do emerge when you dabble with hair.
Things do emerge.
Well, I got... I must have told you about the time I got my head accidentally shaved incredibly short. I went to a hairdresser's. It's the closest I've ever been in my life to being in a joke, in an actual old-fashioned joke. A man walked into a barber's, and the bloke said to me, how do you want it cut? And I said, well, I'll have it like yours. Yours looks all right to me. Because I just, he hadn't got a book with the pictures in. I needed some sort of reference. And his hair was about my length now, I guess. And he said, well, I have number 3 all over. And I said, well, I don't, and whatever it is. So he did it, and it was incredibly short.
Wow.
And I said, but yours is much longer than this. He said, oh, well, mine's grown out a bit. And it really was like being in a joke. But the great dismay of that is that when I actually got it done, and I had this thing, that I didn't have any head scars at all.
Oh.
And if you've got a shaved head and no head scars, it means you've had basically a fairly sheltered childhood, I always think.
Very gentle.
It means you haven't
life,
fallen out of a tree or, no one's ever hit you with a brick. And I felt, all those years of being that kid who just read comic books and played with toy cowboys all came back to haunt me.
And did you find that you were perceived differently for a little while with your hair shaved?
A couple of people said, oh, you haven't got any head scars. I could tell I'd dropped in their estimation. We'll come back to this. I'd love to hear, by the way, any haircut anecdotes from our listeners, because I love haircut anecdotes. Yeah, what a band they were.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Can I just say, Frank, we were talking about the cockerel's hair earlier. I actually think that Sean Locke's look, I think it suits you because you've got it really brings out your Slavic cheekbones.
Slavic?
Who's got a good cheekbone?
Yeah, it's got a good cheekbone.
People are thinking I'm more aggressive than
People are thinking that you're Sean Locke now after the Sean Locke. Someone got confused.
People have been saying, "Oh, you look hard. You look like a hard man, or a bit like a EDL or a football hooligan or whatever."
There's a bit of the Vin Diesel about you.
Yeah, there really is.
Yeah.
No, there is.
I was at an audition the other day, and he and I were both in the room. I was thinking, who's it going to be?
You're more you're more Vin unleaded. But it's
surprising how many people want to tell me that they don't like it. My mum was going on about it the other day. I don't like it, Alan.
She's from Glasgow, where it is. It's the look.
De rigueur.
I'm not sure it is. It's more a side parting and a ginger moustache, isn't it?
See what?
And then there's the men. Hey, hey.
The cockerel's on fire.
No, the cockerel's actually on fire. Oh God, this is a complete nightmare. So,
I've had a few hair disasters, Frank, myself.
Have you? I was hoping that.
Oh, thanks very much.
No, it's just for solidarity purposes, really.
Well, there was a time when my mum insisted I cut all my lovely long hair off. Jealous much. She made me cut it all off. And I said I looked like Juliet Bravo. And I did. And I knew as a child, WPC...
Google it.
WPC hair is not good. I don't think on a woman... Well, a child. Certainly not a child, Frank.
I like short hair on a child, generally speaking.
No, it's no good.
Especially on boys. See, I think that the cropped hair on a boy is a good in a small boy.
Yes.
You get.
No, it's a bit thug.
I don't want confusion when I speak to someone about their child. I really want to know whether I'm saying him or her.
Oh well, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show or on the podcast, but when I was in Bermuda, a woman walked up to a desk thing to buy a ticket for a thing, and the person selling tickets went, "Oh, and how old is she?" about this child that had long curly hair in a top knot cascading down, and the mum went, "It's a he. He gets that all the time." I was thinking, well, it's not he that gets that all the time. It's you. You've dressed your boy up like a girl.
You've set him up for
horrible
confusion. That's
mean. I thought.
I don't. I think my worst one. My girlfriend of the time bought some Sun-In.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember Sun-In?
Yes, I used it.
Can you still get it?
Yes, because I wanted to look like John Taylor, so I used it.
It was the gift that kept on giving. You'd put it in, and your hair would get yellower and yellower as the sun got on it. And she did it, and she was putting it in, and I said, "What's that?" And she said, "Oh, explain what it was." And I said, "Oh, I've never dyed my hair. I'll have a go." And what the problem was, not only did my hair come out absolutely yellow like Raya the Rovers, but hers came out exactly the same colour. So we ended up in the worst thing that can happen to any couple, a his and hers look. Like when I once saw two tourists, both in Canadian maple leaf leather jackets.
Yeah.
And you just think, please... I mean, how does that happen? Or
I
twins.
bet you look like...
What about adult twins who dress the same?
Oh, that's
that's
weird.
creepy.
What's going on?
They've got to be in show business, or there's no excuse.
No, I think show business or the mental health system. It's going to be one of the two. And let's face it, it's a very fine line.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, can I just say the Cochrane and I had a few run-ins.
The Cochrane and I would be a fabulous autobiography.
And it ended with me saying, "I hate you since you've had that haircut. You've gone a bit aggressive." It wasn't good. You missed the tension.
No, I did miss that. It was one of my moments when it was... If anything's over 3.5 minutes, any track, I think that's always a toilet possibility.
Okay.
I won't try it on less than 3.
I do adore the Cochrane, really. But we were talking about his haircut, and other people have texted in. We've had a few in. This is 623. My dad took my sister to the hairdresser when she was young and had her head shaved because she used to complain about her hair being brushed.
Oh, what? When was
Men logic problem solved.
This happened in 1860.
Tune in next week to Extreme Parenting.
And then he marched her through the streets of Paris.
Wow. She won't moan about that again, will she?
No, he must be Catholic, hadn't he?
There's quite...
Straight to a nunnery.
I'd love to meet that dad.
There's
Extreme parenting.
quite a few texts coming in that end with, and it was so bad we both had to cut it all off. That sort of seems to be the natural conclusion. A friend told me lemon juice had the same effect as sunning, so we covered our hair in lemon juice and awaited lovely looking hair. We were in Australia and the baking sun made it set as hard as a crash helmet. Our hair was completely matted and no amount of washing it helped, so we both had to have it all cut off.
Hey, I think we should do the last bit all together. We all had to have it cut off. Any others?
Well, that's not the only subject they've been getting in contact about. I say they, like they're an amorphous mass. They're our beloved
we're supposed to speak to them direct.
Exactly.
Hello. Hello, have you got any jam?
You're all right.
Yeah, okay. That's one of the first rules of radio. You never say they about the listeners. You always say you.
Oh.
I know.
Well, we break those rules, don't we?
But if you listen to the people who presumably adhere closely to the first, rules of radio, they're all rubbish. So I don't think we should worry about it too much.
Frank, we've actually had some emails in. Do you remember last week we were talking about or devising a sitcom based on the premise of you living next door to the Archbishop of Canterbury?
I mean, I do live next door to the Archbishop of Canterbury. And it just cropped up that if that was a sitcom, what would it be called? And we had some very fine.
They're not done yet.
We've had some more.
We've had Martin Williams 131. He's one of my regulars.
Martin Williams.
Well, this is rather extraordinary. He says, Frank and Emily, maybe you can involve your new baby in the sitcom. And if it's and if it's a boy, the show could be called 2.5 Amen.
It's a good title, but there's someone who's taken the Anne Diamond and Nick Owen route of thinking they must be married. Yes, I am having a child, but Emily wasn't involved in any
you say that?
Oh, I think you held my trousers.
Oh my God!
That's a good one. That's a good one, Martin.
Oh,
actually, if Martin was in it instead of me. Living next door to the Archbishop, it could be called Rowan and Martin's Laughing.
Oh, that's good. I like
that.
But
you're going for a Williams thing.
Google it. Oh, yeah, they're both called Williams as well.
Yeah.
Another suggestion from Michael from Rugby. I once dated a boy from Rugby. Might I suggest Everybody Needs God Neighbours?
Very fine. We've got the theme tunes already sorted.
Yeah.
I was thinking of using, because when I did the run with John Bishop, as I mentioned, they gave me a load of clothing that said Bishop's Week of Hell. I wondered if we could call it that, then I could use that as end of series gifts. Seems a bit of a waste. Simple version.
And we've just had one more in today, 326. Back to last week. How about Chaplin Fantastic and the South Bank Cowboy? That's from Foxy.
Chaplin Fantastic. Oh, yeah, Chaplin Fantastic. And the South Bank, because I live on this. Oh, man, that's elaborate.
There's work gone
brilliant.
Into that.
Yeah. I was thinking a nice simple. What about Canterbury Tales?
Oh, yeah.
Just simple.
That's good, but I think it might have gone, that one.
Or Plaintiff, the first time ever I saw your grace. Anyway. You had to spoil it with your own ones. You ego. Dwight, you couldn't just let the listeners, you had to have some of your own. Yes.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We've had an email in that I'm not sure I was on the show that this is referring to. I was interested to hear on a recent podcast.
One of the Cochrane corporates.
To my shame, I've had a few text messages this week from people saying, you're in the Evening Standard. I must have been doing a corporate, and I'm in a picture in the Evening Standard in a story about advertising, not even about my career in any iota.
Are you in a suit and tie?
I think so, yeah. Like my
Oh no, not
industry.
with that haircut. It looked like a court appearance.
No. That'll be next week. That'll be next week's pictures. Anyway, this gentleman has emailed in. I was interested to hear on a recent podcast, brackets, I'm a bit behind. That's the joy of the podcast, though, isn't it? You can catch up on them and keeps it all moving at a different pace.
In that respect.
In many ways. That your granddad came from West Cornforth, or Doggy as it's known locally. Knowing the village, I can confirm that your working class credentials are impeccable. Are they?
I don't think that was ever in any doubt.
No, is that a slight dig at West Cornforth? In other words, look at it. They're certainly impeccable. I'd like to know why is
That's
it called
Graham.
Why is it called Doggy then?
Oh, we were hoping you.
What
could
about that? What about that for a texting?
Yeah.
Why is West Cornforth, County Durham, called Doggy? I love it. This is the sort of stuff that puts a radio show on the map.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio, and I'm with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane, and you can text us on 81215. All the business done in one breath.
Well done.
And they have been texting,
Long
haven't
breath you breathe from your
I
diaphragm.
think the
there.
phrase you're after is you have been texting.
they? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't get my head around this
They
inclusive
have
thing.
texted.
We're the only radio station in the country with a third-person audience.
This is from David. He says we were talking about disastrous haircuts earlier on, in the light of the Cockerell's Clippers mishap.
Not that this is a disaster.
No, I actually really like it. I told him.
Very low maintenance.
It's very Joe Nesbo he looks now.
You should see how little I've got in my wash bag when I travel.
Well, I've heard that.
Not a euphemism.
David says, as a youngster, I had very thick, fair hair that looked like the androgynous guitar player in the Mud Rock Band.
Oh, that was Rob something.
They'll text in.
Yeah. Well, the rest looked
I'm
like...
doing it on purpose now.
The rest looked like Shawaddy Waddy, and he was... There used to be a thing in the 70s, you'd have one camp guitarist. If you remember, Sweet had got that one that used to say, we just haven't got a clue what to do. But that guy, Rob Thingy from Mod, I believe he wrote... I just can't get it out of my head. He went on and became like a pop...
Did he?
Yes, so, you might think that silly man. Anyway,
Well,
so this
David's-
bloke had hair like that.
He did. This was in the pre-product era.
Oh, God.
Lovely use of product.
How did you cope, in
The
the
only-
pre-product era?
The only way to control it was to leave it unwashed, so the natural grease acted as a form of emollient product.
Oh, that's very sting.
I'm now 50, and I think I've only ever had one decent haircut. Frank, can you give me the name of your barber, as over the last few years he's done a good job from a tricky base?
Nice.
Well, I don't know his first name. His surname is Topper.
Oh, would that be Mr.?
Mr. Topper is how I know him. It's quite a formal arrangement that we have.
I like the fact that this gentleman's admitting to having only had one good hair. That's part of the thing, because me having shaved my head, people are upset, but looking back on it, I reckon I've probably had 5 good hair days in my whole life.
Good hair days.
And they've been really random. Like, it's not like, I've had anything to do with that. It's just fluke. So why not just not bother chasing it and get rid of the lot? That's the way I'm looking at this.
In the light of this of this text from David, was it? What I'm going to do, David, you see I'm addressing him directly.
Nice,
what I'm going to do, David, is I'm going to keep now a record of how many good haircuts I have for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And I'm going to put a column in my journal which might never be filled. Although I'm happy with the Topper family. They're looking after me. They're looking after me all right. Oh, I really want to hear something uplifting and invigorating and emotional.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Frank, it's time for your favourite moment of the week. It's only Fashion Corner.
Thank goodness. It's been a while. Well, we've had hair, but I like some.
Well, we've had hair, but Fashion Corner with Alan, Frank and Emily, there's no beating it. I'd like to talk about Kate Middleton this week. I don't know if you boys spotted, but she was seen out wearing... I'm not going to beat around the bush. She was recycling. She was wearing her mother's old blue...
Yes, I did see that.
Daily Mail called it a shift
on.
dress. It's not, it's a coat dress. It was double-breasted.
You can't call it a mother's old blue dress. It wasn't like old, like moth-y and tatty. It was quite a nice dress, wasn't it? It sounds like she was shabby chic or something, doesn't it?
I'm not keen on a double-breasted.
Are you not, Frank?
My heart slightly aches for the half-concealed lapel.
I know what you mean.
They really get the short straw, don't they? The lapel at the back. It's the sort of the Nick Clegg roll. Yeah. The other lapel is, hey, look at me, the lapel. And you might notice there's a bit of a lapel just stuck behind me. Why do they call it double-breasted as well?
Because it goes across both breasts. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Oh, God. I just said it so that I could get Emily to say breasts. I'm happy now, that'll do me.
That's a low point in your life, Frank. But yeah, so I thought she looked nice. She was rattling around in it somewhat.
Well...
She's rather... No, she was.
I like the idea of rattling around in a dress. In many ways, Kate Middleton, although I love her heartwarming smile, is the worst possible role model you could have. Because what you don't want is a female figure in the public eye who, the thinner she gets, the prettier she gets. It's the absolute worst thing. So what I'm saying is that she must be destroyed.
Frank?
No, not really.
That's probably treason, isn't
I
it?
thought she looked beautiful
that
in
might
that
actually be. I
dress.
think it's that and burning down shipyards. I could still be hanged.
But I do have a slight problem with pre-loved wear, as I
Do
call
you?
it. Yes, I don't like other people sweat. I'm a bit phobic about
It's
that.
her own mother, though.
think her mother's sweaty.
All the more so.
She was made from that woman's sweat, in a way.
The tracksuit top I've got on used to be Andy Murray's mum's. That's fine, isn't it?
It looks exactly like it, except you look a bit more feminine in it.
I like the fact that she'd...
Kel Surprise.
You are going to hate this, but it's sort of, to me, it proves that, fashion's not that... time sensitive, is it? It's 2 years
That's
ago.
the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
You are tearing down the very, very fundamentals of Emily's
2
existence.
years ago that her mum wore the
I think
dress.
it was 2008 dress.
Oh,
if
wow.
I remember rightly.
Ages
It's
ago.
called a classic.
Exactly.
It's called a perennial, okay? That's slightly different, like a navy blazer.
The only people that
Like a
fashion
loafer.
matters season by season to are fashion journalists and shoppers in TK Maxx, where it says on the label past season. Nobody else is that bothered.
I'm not going to have a fashion discussion with the cockerel when he's wearing a Fred Perry with a rainbow trim.
It's nice. I like it.
It's quite San Francisco.
I like it.
I have to say.
I think it's sort of like marred pride. A Fred Perry with a rainbow trim. I think one could say in times of recession that she's done a wonderful thing to recycle.
Good example, yeah.
I'm all for frugal royalty. I mean, he was great in the undertones.
And I like it because it sort of it might put the end to the phrase hand-me-downs, because I suppose if she's got it off her mum, then it is a hand-me-down, isn't it? But I have...
No, but it's gone from a commoner to a member of the royal family. It's a hand-me-up.
It's a hand-me-up.
Oh,
But
that's
I have
true.
hand-me-ups as well, where, sometimes I have hand-me-acrosses where I'll get something off my brother. That's not a hand-me-down or a hand-me-up.
Well, I don't know, is he your older brother?
He's younger than me, but bigger.
Oh, that's a tricky one, isn't it? How on earth did that happen? You've gone against that. You must have seen that drawing of the ascent of man.
Yeah.
We all have a duty to stick with that. You can't just start changing your size, and that's ridiculous.
I have loads of hand-me-acrosses. I gave him my jacket last year in a drunken moment. I get a
Did you?
bit garrulous when I'm drunk. He admired a jacket that he'd borrowed for the day, and I went, have it! And then last time I was at his house, I took it back.
Yeah, that what you have there is cockerel drunk and cockerel sober. In essence.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've heard from our Keith this morning.
Thank goodness. In case you don't know the show, our Keith he's our Keith. He's my brother.
First of all, he says, well done last night, bro.
Lovely, thank you.
Then he says, only 2 haircuts in 20 years and they were in pubs.
You see, now I know that is definitely from our Keith.
I love our Keith.
That's great.
Love him.
Very fine. It explains quite a lot about our Keith's hair. Good morning to you, Keith.
Yeah, good morning. On the subject of Kate Middleton's...
Can I just say that a switch from our Keith to Kate Middleton is a great saw through the British class system.
Well, do you and he share stuff? Do you ever, would he...
He did once... I remember he had a herringbone overcoat.
Lovely.
And I said to him, I like that overcoat, and he just took it off and gave it to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Isn't that...
He never asked for it back when he was sober as well, can I say that?
Oh, right.
You know why? 'Cause he's never been sober since. That was 30 years ago. No, he's big-hearted.
I like that. I like to hear this. I've had a really good yield this year with hand-me-downs and acrosses and stuff that I want that other people don't. It's one man's junk is another man's treasure, innit? I turned up at my friend Daniel's house in January or February, whenever it was, cold, and he went, "Oh, do you want a coat?" This has never happened in our friendship before.
No.
He'd bought a new coat, and he's got a bit of a tummy, and it stuck out on the tummy. So he said, "Do you want to try this coat on? Brand new." And
what he should have done is he should have tried it on before purchasing.
no, he'd bought it online, and he'd already actually arranged with the seller to send it back, saying it doesn't fit.
When you say the
sticks on my
seller, he bought it online from eBay, so it was
from America,
third-hand
from
by this
America.
stage,
No,
yeah?
it wasn't from eBay. It was
That's
from.
what he said.
It was from Spiewak, I think, the coat maker in America.
Spiewak.
Yeah, so there. So
When
he
I
gave
have
me
a
that.
boy, I'm going to name him Spiewak.
He gave me
dear.
that basically because he couldn't be bothered to send it back.
What
which
a
is the
fabulous result.
Sort of friend that you want, isn't it?
Do you still wear that coat?
Yeah, I haven't got it today. It's too nice.
Oh,
but,
yes.
I mean, the coat's too nice.
To waste on the likes of us.
I mean, the weather's nice.
Yeah.
I've been given a bag by my mum. I was literally in the shops with my mum. I said,
A handbag.
I think I'll get a hold all. I'm going to do some travelling. You know, I'm always on the road. And she went, I've got a hold all that you can have, haven't you? She's mental. And I've had loads of stuff. I've had a really good...
We're only getting Cockrell's side of the story on this.
Exactly.
Isn't it more... You haven't got a hold all. You got a coat, Daniel. I'm cold. You haven't got any coats at all.
No, it's and I've given away a few things as well. I've been handing it about. I gave my brother a coat, the one that I stole the coat back off.
You'd slot into the Middletons.
I beg to differ.
Yeah.
Frankly.
No, I agree. I think I would.
I thought wearing your mum's dress was not you. This is Kate Middleton. Never gone back. I thought there was an act of cruelty about it because she must have known that there would be a picture of her mum next to her in the same dress, and obviously she's an older woman. She's had children. Then she's next to this woman who's this society beauty.
Yeah.
There's a hint of Dorian Gray's attic. About it all going to be there for the poor mother. I thought
The belt
it was
looked like a
insensitive.
few additional holes had been made in the notches.
Oh no, not out in the garden with a hammer and nail. Oh dear. No, I felt a bit sorry for the mum. It's like, the replica shirt dilemma, something designed for professional athletes.
Oh, yeah.
Worn by drinkers.
The rugby's the cruelest on that ground, isn't it?
Oh,
Because
well,
it's
they
lycra and it
had-
grips them, and then they put it on the sort of men that go and watch rugby.
It's a mistake. My advice: stay with a scarf.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We had a text from somebody who was suggesting another Frank Skinner living next door to the Archbishop of Canterbury. Sitcom with Frank outraged by local planning decision in favour of Archbishop's extension. Frank incensed with mirth.
We had another text on 941. Alan was saying how much he was enjoying the sunshine. 941 says, sunshine not all good. Cats knocked off shelfware when chasing light spot reflected from wristwatch on my typing hand.
That is good.
You see, those people who live in Scandinavia where it's dark for about 14 hours. They don't know they're lucky they are.
Their cats just must be falling off the wall all summer.
Their cat, yeah, I bet
6 months long.
Well, there'd be no light though, would there?
At the moment, I don't know. But I thought they got long summers and then dense.
It's getting good.
Darkness.
This is a good bit. This is. I'm enjoying this bit.
It started well.
It's where
And it's
radio becomes
soaring.
thinking aloud, isn't it?
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, Alan,
Yes.
you know how much I enjoy the good fortune of others. So I was delighted to read about the bus driver syndicate
Oh God, yes.
who
they did
scooped. They always scoop in lottery stories, don't they?
Well. They do.
Oh, I like that together, my boys.
Yeah.
38 million.
Big prize money wins, and pick and mix. They're the main scooping areas.
They might have even scooped a cool 38 million.
When they do that, that's the best ever, when it's cool.
A cool 38 million. But one of the bus drivers, did you read about this? Mid-shift, he stopped the bus and told all the passengers to get off, and I thought that was rather brilliant, actually.
Was that the second he found out? Oh, brilliant. Not another foot on this bus am I going to go there.
Not even press and accelerate for a moment longer. Good for him.
I respected his honesty. People always say it won't change me, and 3 weeks later they're driving around in a Ferrari with the cheeky girl. I like that he's like, no, it's going to completely change me. I want nothing more to do with you.
I wonder if he suddenly became quite friendly and stuff as well. He switched off his bus driverness. It's an incredible 3.1. I must say they went very cliched in their celebrations. They squirted the champagne in the air, F1 style, which I always hate.
Was it champagne, or was it what I call almost champagne?
Well, whatever it was, there must be people in the third world thinking, I'd love a glass of champagne. It's just being wasted in the West. Do you think that's good that to be doing that? Sport Relief Week? They should be ashamed of themselves. And they got the big check out, of course.
Like the big check.
I like the photograph of them as well, because what one of them's done is put shades on to look a bit, lottery winner lifestyle, but he's still got his little anorak on.
Well, when I saw the shades, I didn't think that. I thought, I benefit cheat. They didn't know he was on the buses. On the buses, blah da da da, blah da da, blah da da. Oh, good. No, but the big check, it's out of date. Nobody. Who writes checks? When's the last time you wrote a check,
No,
Alan?
I can't remember.
They can't have a giant chip and pin.
Why not?
Be weird.
That's the next thing. A massive, great
how do they
banker's
represent
order.
the transfer? Yeah.
I know, it's difficult.
Wouldn't it be amazing if they won it again next week? Typical. Like bus wins. Like buses are. Bus wins doesn't even make sense.
I'd hate to win the lottery. I wouldn't like it.
I like bus wins.
You'd hate to win it?
Yeah. Because I wouldn't want to pose with my leg aloft, and you have to do that.
You do have to. You
Is
have
that
to
a
do
rule?
that. If
Yes,
you're
of
a
course
lady,
it
you
is.
have to show a bit of thigh. It's
Yes.
true. You'd have to hold a big check. You'd be covered in champagne, and you'd have a leg aloft.
It's not good for the brand, Frank.
No, it's a terrible. It's like being Sophie Anderton. It's a terrible
Every night.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they left this woman out, didn't they? What?
No, they didn't leave her out.
Judge Judy.
She withdrew from the syndicate, didn't she?
Did she?
She was one of the ones, I think there was 12 that set up the syndicate.
Hazel, she's called.
Hazel Loveday or something like that.
Is it right?
Yeah,
Nice
one of those
name,
good
that.
names, yeah. And she pulled out
Sorry,
of it.
broke single mother. Carry on defending them.
Yeah, she... I'm a fan of the broke single mothers. I grew up with one at various points. She pulled out of the syndicate because it was £2 a week, and she thought, well, I can't afford that. And then they've won, and they've said, now we're probably not going to give her any. Or one of them said, well, if we do, it'll be a private matter. Hazel's a nice girl, and I quite liked it. I like the fact that they've won and they're immediately slightly media aware of going, no, that'll be a private matter. We're not going to tell you first.
No, for me, is Hazel any more entitled to a handout from the bus drivers than any other unemployed single mother?
Yes, because she put in over the years. I think they should.
No,
just...
she put in.
not how
She put in.
lotteries
She
work.
pulled out 6 months ago.
Don't you two start having a go at me. I won't tolerate
This
it.
is like, and you'll be with me here, girls. When the ex comes back, the ex who dumped you comes back, expects a night of physical activity, and then goes away again. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but if you withdrew, goodbye. You don't come back and say, "Oh, I have." She's going to come back and say, "Here's those £2." Yeah, I bet they are. Get out, Hazel. You had your chance and you blew it. I'm sorry.
If they do decide to privately give her money, I hope they give her it in change. It's like, here's some pound coins.
But if they do that, you'll know it's been nicked from the bus machine.
Yeah.
Whatever they give her, Hazel will go home and thought, well, that's not much out of 3.1 million. They're in a no-win situation.
Yeah.
I have to say, one of them, one of the 3.1 million winners, said he's told his wife she can have anything she likes. What I would ask for is a book voucher for 3.2 million.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
tell you what I really liked about the bus driver lottery winners is that one of them was asked if they would give any money to that Hazel Loveday, and he said, "You've got to be in it to win it." I love a cliche coming true.
Yeah.
If he'd then shrugged his shoulders and said, "It's a lottery, isn't it?" I would have loved that.
I like that he's gone corporate man already.
But has there ever been a better example of you got to be in it to win it than
it's
that?
a lottery, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's a bit
perfect.
like at Christmas time, you sent me a Christmas card, and I had a weird moment of going, I'm literally on Frank Skinner's Christmas card list.
Exactly.
It's
You
someone's
actually
Christmas
are.
card.
You're on the stickers.
There's probably someone that works in, like, the Navy on the radar, and when they hear about a new band, they go, "Oh no, they're not on my radar."
No.
And then they are. I like a cliche coming true.
One of the drivers said that everyone had said they're going to buy a Lamborghini and go on holiday. Someone's going to go to Graceland, of course.
A posh slap-up meal was mentioned.
Yeah, and one of them, Charles Connor, said he wants to learn a language and join a golf club.
No way.
He's going to have a few bob left over, isn't he? I mean, how much are those Rosetta Stone CDs? Not very expensive at all. Oh, dear. So, anyway, my highlight of the week, before we go, was Simon Cowell, because did you see this, that Tom Jones claimed that he was offered Britain's Got Talent,
yes.
and he turned it down, and Simon Cowell denied it, and he said, I think he must be comparing us with Opportunity Knocks, is what he said. And, of course, he meant confusing. And he said, it's that moment when you say the wrong word, it's in all the papers. And he's trying to suggest that Tom Jones is a bit senile and he's got the word wrong. You know, when you... Oh, man, I can't. And you know what? If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back this time next week. Goodbye.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.